teams will kick off tonight. The starting lineups: Byrne at full-back for Hull, Singh, Yeaman, Hall and Rayner, Washbrook and Berrigan. The forwards: Dowes, Houghton and Cusack, Manu, Tickle and Radford, who's the skipper and loose forward. And on the bench, the return of Gareth Carvell, Graham Horn, Lee and Thackeray. The coach, Richard Agar. For St Helens, it's Wellens at full-back. Steve Tyra replaces the injured Super League leading try scorer Adi Gardner. Then they go Gidley, Talau, Melly, Price and Long. The forwards: Kalis, Roby gets a start, Cunningham is on the bench, Graham, Gilmore, Wilkin and Flannery. And there is Kieran Cunningham, the skipper, on the interchange bench with Bennett, Hargreaves and Farsivalou, who returns after injury. The coach is Daniel Anderson. Well, the Saints, they beat Catalan Dragons last Saturday 28 points to 10. It wasn't their best performance of the year, but they went back second in the table until the Catalan Dragons victory last night. May 2005, the Saints arrived with a caretaker coach themselves in charge. Ian Millwood had left, Dave Rotherham was in control. They lost 44 points to 6. Then Daniel Anderson arrived and it was business as usual from then on. But it's not the best ground this for St Helens. 6 visits to the KC Stadium have brought 5 defeats. Their only win March 2006, but what a win. It was a 46-0 victory, a defeat that effectively cost John Keir his job here. And Sean Long has been in great form just lately, but only 2 goals from 6 attempts against Catalan Dragons last weekend. Well, Hull, this is their first home game in a month, and it's all changed, of course, since they beat Huddersfield here on the 27th of April. Peter Sharp lasted 2 years. His final game was at Quins last week, 16 up. They lost 34-26 in the end. They've lost 9 out of the first 14 rounds so far, and so for the second time, Richard Agar takes over in a caretaker capacity, but he will have the job if it's offered by the Hull board, he says. And the black and whites trot out at the brand new Premier League ground. Congratulations to Hull City. The Tigers winning at Wembley yesterday against Bristol City. And Hull City are in the Premier League for the first time in 104 years. Many congratulations to them, and of course they'll be able to be seen live on Sky Sports next season. Right now, though, all eyes will focus on the KC Stadium pitch. Richard Silver with the referee for this Engage Super League match. And it will be hugely interesting to see how Hull rise or fall following the departure of Peter Sharp.
Well, the Hull players have made it quite clear that they will lift their game for the new coach, Richard Agar. As Eddie's mentioned, Agar wants the job. A win here tonight will certainly help his cause. Interesting to see how Daniel Anderson has changed the St Helens lineup. He's not starting with Kieran Cunningham. He's got Roby out there, and that just gives me the impression they'll try to blast Hull away and try to get 2 or 3 quick tries in the early 15 minutes.
Gareth Rayner is at dummy half, Kirk Yeaman is at dummy half as Gareth Rayner plays the ball to him. And there is Danny Houghton, the young hooker, gets the ball infield to Willie Manu. That's the 4th tackle, this opening set of 6. Good scampering run from Houghton, gets Hull almost to the halfway line.
Quick thinking by the hooker there. They're showing already they mean business.
Berrigan with the kick, and it comes down this right-hand touchline, and Steve Tyra, he's missed the last 4. 2 goals in the 12-24 defeat here last year. As I say, not the happiest of hunting grounds for St Helens. Let's see how they go today.
I think they showed their hand very early in the fact that they kicked right into the corner towards Stephen Tyra. I think he'll be targeted throughout the full 80. But Hull realise it hasn't been a good season for them, especially in the forwards. They've had so many bad injuries, but they've really got to match it against a very big St Helens pack. Won't be easy.
This is Kalis. He will drive the ball in hard, but Radford was in there, and so too was Ewan Dowes. Last tackle here for St Helens, long inside the 40-metre area. The ball, though, bounces harmlessly into the arms of Matt Singh. He got his first try in Super League last week against Harlequins, but he's not making much progress forward there. Driven back by the 2 tacklers, and that's the first view of Richard Agar. He's in the caretaker coach capacity once again, formerly the York City Knights coach, of course, Richard Agar.
Well, he did well on the last occasion. He was in charge for 4 games, lost the first one against Leeds, but had 3 victories after that before Peter Sharp arrived. So he knows how to get a victory.
He does, and he's hoping that he will just be able to tweak a couple of things and get some troops back on the field. Not change too much, but the main thing he wants to change, of course, he wants to re-energise this whole side if he possibly can. There's a knock-on from Danny Tickle.
Oh, an opportunity there as well. Tickle knows it. Just got it with the fingertips. You can see there that there was no one at home out wide on that right-hand side. And Francis Melly was all over the place. If Tickle could have dragged this in and flicked it away to his right-hand side, it would have been a try for sure.
Saints then back in possession with James Graham, met by vigorous tackling from Willie Manu.
And you say that Hull are a little bit low on confidence. You get confidence from 3 things: scoring tries, defending well and winning matches. Hull have done one of those 3. The defence has been pretty solid, in fact pretty comparable to Saints at this stage in the season, but they've really struggled to get across their opponent's try line, and they've been unlucky to lose so many close games narrowly. In fact, when they played against St Helens, they lost, didn't they, by a single point back in March. But they showed in that game, by attacking Saints down the middle of the field, they could put some pressure on the St Helens side.
That was a great kick from John Wilkin, but it was fielded, and this now is Gareth Rayner passing the ball in field to Todd Byrne. There is Daniel Anderson, the St Helens coach. This is Matt Singh now. Oh, what an offload, but to nobody in particular. Lost a bit of impetus there, and they're trapped now inside their own 20-metre zone. That's good harrying by this St Helens side. Price and Tallow doing the job. Lee Radford driving it forward again. Missed the single point defeat at St Helens in March. In fact, when you think about it, the number of single point defeats that Hull have had this year, a couple of those going the right way, and Peter Sharp might be still in tenure here.
You talk about Richard Agar, the new coach, sort of just tweaking a few things. Good opportunity, but it's gone too inside, and it's been picked up by Kalis. Just making the point that perhaps Agar won't do too much with it. The one thing he will concentrate on, though, is just get back to basics. Good, solid, hard work. As Phil Clark's mentioned, the defence is okay. They've got to be a little bit more adventurous. But
that's a beautiful pass. Wilkin put into the gap by Roby, and Wilkin gets the first try for St Helens. Well, that's quietened them here. There was great optimism for the opening 4.5 minutes, but then Kalis picked up the loose pass inside from Yeeman, and then Roby put this man through the gap, and he doesn't need a second invitation. John Wilkin, former Hull Kingston Rovers man, of course, John Wilkin, making his debut for the Robins way back in 2000, and that's his 2nd try of this year.
Just shows you the importance of making sure you keep possession. Kalis quite happy to snap that up. Big error from Hull. But look at the dummy. They really should have gone to it. Thackeray went out of the line. He was off balance. Wilkin, he knows how to come on that second phase. But you can't afford to allow Roby to do that. Absolutely poor defence in the end. He's in. Good try. Just what the doctor ordered, as we mentioned it before. Daniel Anderson, he wanted to get up to the flying start, and that's exactly what they've done. He knows how to position himself, this fella.
It was a wonderful pass from James Roby, and Wilkin was quickly through the gap. Now Sean Long is taking the kicking here. Stephen Tyra can kick a goal as well, of course. One or two people thought that maybe Tyra was in for the injured Gardner and would get the kicking responsibility, but Long for the time being, although he has missed with his first attempt. As I say, just 2 from 6 last weekend against Catalan Dragons, but almost 2,500 career points for Sean Long now.
They can see Danny Tickle, he's just gone off balance. And the way that he came on the angle, John Wilkin, Tickle could only just slap him across the chest. He knew he had the pace. Nothing they could do about that. Todd Byrne, no chance.
Wilkin, Great Britain international, 3 times he has pulled on the England jersey. He played the first 3 tests against New Zealand last autumn, but he missed out on the victory here at the KC Stadium.
The half-time scoreboard in this game, and it takes on much more significance than most others that we go to. It's very rare, and in fact probably improbable, that the side sitting 11th in the competition can come from behind with a half-time deficit, especially when you mention the fact that their confidence really has been so shattered. And I felt that the pass from Yeaman back inside that went straight to Kalos was an indication of a team very low on confidence.
Well, St Helens are anything but low on confidence, and here they come again. Tyra was on the outside. It was a good break by Gidley. Last tackle it is though here, and Price with the kick to the corner. That's not the best though, straight into the arms of Matt Singh, and Hull will begin the counter-attack here.
Eddie, I know that Saints have scored the first try, posted first points, but I just think that Hull, there's a vibe in the city. I drove in today, and with the Hull City football team gaining Premiership, getting into the Premiership, I just think there's a good vibe, and I know they haven't started well, but I just fancy them to do well.
They're 40 metres away from their own line, and here is Radford again. Ooh, he nearly lost that. In fact, maybe he did then on the deck, but not seen by touch judges or referee. It's Ewan Dowes spinning, gets the pass away to Houghton, and Houghton will find Tickle. Great defence though, isn't it? Yes, Gilmore and Price all over the top of him.
The one thing about Liam Price you can always be sure of, he'll come on the angle from out wide on that left-hand side.
Poor kick from Houghton straight to Wellens. Here comes the best full-back in the world, Paul Wellens. It's a big call, I know, but he is.
You're not far off the truth there, Eddie, that's for sure. He's been outstanding over the past few seasons. Quite obvious that Saints, they don't want to mess around in the forwards. They've been linking, missing people out, trying to get it out wide as quickly as possible. They don't want a forward battle.
Kalis takes the tackle, 40 metres away from his own line. Graham, great ball again. Wilkin just hauled down. That could be a penalty. It is. Craig Hall trying to get to his feet, and he pulled the man down for the second occasion.
Good thinking really in many ways by Craig Hall, because he knew that they had the numbers out wide. Quick play the ball, they were going to be in a lot of trouble. He took the gamble to give away the penalty, ensure that his colleagues can sort his defence out.
Well, he's deep in thought, Richard Agar, and as you say, Steve, he had 4 in charge in 2006 prior to Peter Sharp's arrival. Lost the first to Leeds, but then 3 in a row: Huddersfield, Wakefield and Catalan Dragons. Price, a half break for St Helens.
Watch for the switch play.
Roby, he is long, wide. Tyra hacks it on, too deep.
Opportunity there, the other numbers out wide, but it was a poor pass in the end. Can't blame the winger Tyra. From long you can see it was always dipping. In fact, he did well, Tyra, just to get a boot to it.
But offside, St Helens strayed inside the 10. Penalty to the black and whites here.
4 to 5 in front of the man with a whistle, Mr. Silverwood.
Had a lot of those, haven't we, over the past 14 rounds. A couple on Friday.
To be fair, I think they've eased off quite a lot in regards to, remember the start of the season, it was penalty. Either they've eased off, or should we say that the players have finally got it through to their brain box. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it has been a great improvement over the last couple of months by the men with the whistle. Let's hope it stays that way.
Here's Berrigan. St Helens know how dangerous he can be. They were through, that ball came out, it's a knock on, and Berrigan is hurt.
It was pretty solid with the handling department. Ooh, was it a hand in there? Either way, he's in a lot of pain.
I think he's let go of the ball because he's in pain. If you watch his left shoulder there, it's just been twisted and turned just awkwardly, and he just lets go. He doesn't like that at all, Berrigan.
Hey lads, come on.
Well, there's been a lot of concern, especially down in Australia, with tackling technique, where 2 or 3 players get into the man carrying the football, stretch the arm. I don't think you could say that has happened on this occasion, but It is a problem down under where the officials are aware of it, where they try to straighten the arm and then sort of dislocate it, in fact.
The chicken wing tackle, it's been dubbed down under. We've seen it once or twice here, but look at what I'm watching here. Talau just brushes away from Hall, tries to go over him a second time.
Very strong, isn't he? Upper body.
Wilkin and Gilmore. Solid tackling by Houghton low down and by Danny Tickle up above. This is Roby. Roby back to Sean Long. Long on to Price. Price then gives it to Wellens, and it's air out to Tyra. Trying to go round Gareth Rayner. Does well, the Hull winger. Gidley to Flannery.
Wonderful tactics by St Helens. You know, you get in the two half-backs, Liam Price, Sean Long. They're standing deep. They go in the second phase, and when they flick it, they'll have a chance. That's a great hit. Tickle on Graham. Oh, Graham fell down.
That was a bone shudderer, all right, and so is that. Wonderful tackle there by Kirk Eamon. St Helens caught in possession on the last tackle. It's the turnover.
Oh, tickle on Graham. And then Eamon comes out.
Let's have a word from Bill about Sean Berrigan.
Eddie, Sean Berrigan straight off the field. Tommy Lee quickly on. They were in no doubt about the fact that Sean Berrigan couldn't continue for the time being. Physio came over to the sidelines. The decision was made very quickly to get Tommy Lee on, and Berrigan is off the field, and it looks as though that shoulder problem, the latest of the problems to afflict the new signing.
Well, Hull have thrown the gauntlet down to St Helens with those two heavy tackles, and they are being received and paid back like for like as Berrigan walks somewhat disconsolately to the bench.
That's a big loss to them. He's the man, he's the architect that the new coach, Richard Agar, would have been looking forward to take control out there. And you talk about the two big hits, it wasn't too bad from Lee Gilmore on the prop forward, Ewan Dowes either.
And try to give it some width, and they do. Gets out wide to Matt Singh, and Matt Singh will hack it forward on the last.
That's a wasted kick.
Well, it's not a bad effort, Steve. It was on the last, and they were going to be over maybe on the touchline on the far side. And look where they are now, where St Helens are beginning this set of six.
I love a winger to put it down into the corner, not a crossfield like that.
The chasers made that kick though, and his teammates responded and worked hard, and it ended up being a good kick.
Matt Singh, 14 caps for Australia, played for Queensland 24 times. Kieran Cunningham is preparing to come on. It's a penalty here to St Helens.
Little doubt about it, the ball being taken away. And Graham appeals to the man with the whistle, gets the nod. Well, quite a good passage of play in many ways for the Black and Whites. They slowly but surely getting back into this game. They have gone back to basics. Nothing too outstanding. Complete in contrast to what we've seen from the Saints so far, though only 4 points in it.
Daniel Anderson, 3 years in charge at St Helens this very weekend. 27th of May 2005, he lost to Leeds at home, but then won the next 9 in the League and Cup before Hull beat them in a Challenge Cup semi-final.
Go.
And here is Flannery, and Flannery on the half break.
Move with it, 2 feet. Go.
Roby, back it comes to Price. Price then to Long. Long looking to he was looking to bring Gilmore into it. Gilmore though over on the pass that never came. Roby, they go down the left channel, off the hands of Wellens, and knock on both ways. Knock on both ways, he's blown the whistle.
Crowd don't like it, neither do I, because there was a little bit of excitement for the Black and Whites. They're still going, they still think the referees, and now the crowd at that far end. He's the boss, fellas. Good defence yet again. You get the impression the way that Saints is keeping this ball alive. The second phase is superb. I mentioned before, Phil, that Leon Price, Sean Long, they're combining so very well, but full credit to Hull, they're getting right into their faces.
Great movement to the ball, both sides in, and it is good goal line defence. Craig Hall here, well, there's the first knock on, then it came off Todd Burns' head. Craig Hall scored a 90-metre try, the length of the field. Perhaps that should have been play on, but the story of Hull's season so far, not quite had the bench of the ball or the bit of luck.
That is not a knock on. That comes off the head. Well, he knows he's pretty fortunate. Hull fans are furious.
I'm liking the reactions of the Hull players. They're the first to the ball, they're up, getting the faces into the St Helens players.
Interesting, Daniel Anderson shouting, play on. Could easily have been a dangerous call from Daniel Anderson. Incidentally, I think I did say that he began his reign with a defeat against Leeds at home. They actually beat Leeds at home that day. Just putting the record absolutely straight. Hull have a penalty here for Saints not standing square at the play of the ball.
Lack of concentration there. Flannery, the culprit. Well, this may be a little bit sort of a problem for the Saints side. Playing well. Well, they've only got 4 points on the board.
Hull are energised, there's no question of that, by the events of the past 7 days. Must have been a very difficult period for everybody concerned here. But once the dust had settled come Wednesday, it was back to business. And I wonder what the future holds for Richard Agar. Peter Sharp said this week that he was blessed. He was blessed with the talent he had working beneath him, and if Peter Sharp had anything to do with it, Richard Agar would be installed as the permanent coach right now. This is Wellens.
Freddie Ray can get away with a little chip over the top when this man is at full-back, Paul Wellens, who read it absolutely superbly. Nice change in tactics though from Hull. They're building in confidence. They looked a bit rattled early on in the game.
Oh, they're rattled here. Now. That's a fantastic break by Melly. It's supported by Gilmore, and Gilmore has got Manu after him. And that's a great tackle from Manu. That's a try saver, but for how long? They're flooding forward. St Helens here is long. There's the pass on the bounce to Tyler. They're going to get away with it. St Helens, no, they're not. Wonderful tackle then by Radford. This is Price. Well, if Hull get out of jail here, they will get a great deal of confidence, but there's still work to do. And this is Talau. That's the last. Melly will have a go. Flings the ball back anywhere. It's picked up by Roby. And Roby loses it. And St Helens, have they blown it? They're appealing here. But the ball was stolen from Roby.
Spot on, Eddie. Roby appealed to Richard Silverwood straight away.
Looking for the steal.
But how on earth did they stop Lee Gilmore? Is it ripped away? I think you'll find it is. And Wellens, ever alert. It's one-on-one, and that's fine. That's a definite pull backwards, so that's play on. And Paul Wellens said, hey, we play to the whistle in this game. I think that has got to be deemed as a one-on-one steal. And Wellens says, let's get the TRY, and I think you'll get the nod. It looks quite clear. Manu has gone for that football, to my mind. I'm not the video referee. It's Ian Smith that will make the decision. He grabs for the ball there. Their hand's definitely on the ball. He releases it, and you can't say that he has the chance to regather.
That's such a shame for Willie Manu. It was his effort to get back and track on Lee Gilmore. Amazing now that as Wellens, I think, we just get confirmation.
Well, Ian Smith, as you say, is the video referee. What does he say? The try is denied, and it's a 20-metre restart. He has ruled that Roby, it was a loose carry. Well, I wonder whether in the scheme of things over 2008, whether we will look back to the 18th minute of this match and say that was the moment when Hull's season just turned around the right way.
Certainly did. I mean, how did they get back? It looks as though Lee Gilmore was sailing in at the corner.
He did get an ankle knock, didn't he, against Catalan Dragons last week, Lee Gilmore, but he's out there, so you are assuming, of course, that Lee Gilmore's 100%, and someone else who's out there now is Gareth Carvell.
Oh, he was racing like a thoroughbred.
You know, Willie Manu chased him. The man without the ball, Eddie, always has an automatic advantage. He's got two arms pumping for full speed. Perhaps that's the reason why he got to Gilmore in the end, who himself a very, very fast player.
Washbrook's kick right down the centre of the field. And how energetic is the whole chase? It should be good, and it is. They're there to greet Paul Wellens, who a few moments ago thought he had scored the second St Helens try, only for it to be chalked off because James Roby was ruled to have not had proper control of the ball. It wasn't a steal by Willie Manu, according to the video referee.
Big call by Ian Smith. Beautiful pass.
Through the hole again, and it's Wilkin, and Wilkin has got Nelly, and there's another great tackle from Matt Singh.
Looking to get away with it as well. He was messing around with Singh, took the gamble. Well, this is desperate defence by the black and whites.
Problem there for John Wilkin. He limps away, or limps towards the play here that's carried forward by Graham, who offloads to Wellens, who finds Leon Price, and Leon Price gives it to Flannery, and Flannery will come up the middle. That's the last tackle for St Helens. Can Hull survive another attack? Leon Price dumps it down. Gidley, brilliant pass from Gidley to Tyra.
Breathtaking.
On the last, the ball out of the back door from Matt Gidley, and Stephen Tyra marks his return to the St Helens team with the fourth try of his season. But Hull, well, they've had to defend and defend and defend, and in the end the dam broke, and Stephen Tyra was able to simply walk in unopposed in the corner. But wow, what a pass from Gidley.
Unbelievable. And they tested their arm, didn't they? They went on the power play, but the build-up to this was quite outstanding as well. Oh, you can't do anything without that. Gareth Rayner left in absolutely no man's land. Nice step, get support, see you later. Quality, class, call it what you like, but it's a TRY. Brilliant, outstanding. There's not enough plaudits for the quality that we've just seen there from that man in your screen.
Matt Gidley, 50th appearance here for him. And Steve Tyra celebrates his try, but Gidley, they're talking about a new deal. And, well, I'll tell you what, they will certainly, I'm sure, be putting pen to paper very, very quickly. Long will add the extras, and it's 10 points to nil for St Helens. Sean Long with the successful kick this time off the touchline. The try from Tyra, but there's the man who created it all.
You have to give 10 out of 10 for Hull for their effort, Eddie, in this game so far. But having said that, you probably give them 2 out of 10 for some of the defence. Every time they've kicked the ball deep, as they're about to do here in the kick-off, St Helens have made it look so easy to get out of their own danger zone with simple passing plays, or alternatively, they have conceded penalties which have also got them out of danger.
Let's get some St Helens injury news now, Bill.
Well, we saw John Wilkin being treated as Saints were celebrating that, or the build-up to that try, and he got a knock. It seems to be a bang in the ribs. He's had a bit of treatment on the run. He's still out there, unlike Sean Berrigan, who's still on the sidelines, back out for the dressing room, left shoulder heavily iced, and he looks pretty dejected.
10-0 to St Helens and 10 breaks to nil for St Helens.
Well, they were the tactics. We anticipated them. We knew that they didn't want to get into an arm wrestle in the forwards, just keep the ball alive, and it's proved correct, hasn't it? 2 wonderful tries. But as Phil's mentioned, you've got to give them some sort of credit. The black and whites, the way they got back in numbers, but with sheer skill like that, what can you do? He knows it too.
Price will fire the ball to Long now, and on the 40-metre line, the referee called he was outside. Gets the kick in, but Matt Singh had moved back to quell the danger. Penalty to Hull. Hands in the ruck.
Not surprisingly, Hull will just calm things down. We're all over them. Little doubt that Roby just had a second little bite. Hand underneath. Well spotted by Silverwood.
James!
They really need to get into a good position here now.
It's just 19 months since these two met in the 2006 Grand Final. Won by St Helens, of course. Here's another penalty for the black and whites.
Well, he's got Gilmore for going into a second one. He said that the tackle had been completed, or is it for a chop across the head? I don't think the tackle was completed.
As I say, 2006, that Grand Final. Peter Sharp's gone. The man you've just seen, Daniel Anderson, is going at the end of this year. There are only 6 Hull survivors left on the books here. St Helens could have called on 14 from that Grand Final for tonight. And there is a little word, stability. And you can say that about the Saints. Charging run here from Thackeray. 60th appearance in his second spell at this club for Jamie Thackeray. Good ball to Mano from Lee. Well, Hull would give anything for a try here, and Carvel gets so close. Last tackle. The ball comes back to Washbrook. It's a neat little kick to the in-goal area, but it's just too long. And St Helens defend well.
Nice idea. Good change of tactics as well. That will please the coach, Richard Agar, mainly due to the fact that he did a few little cross kicks. And then looking for the man coming back on the inside was Manu. A lot of responsibility now on the shoulders of the standoff Danny Washbrook. Hull will have to look towards this young fellow, and of course the experience of the second rower, Danny Tickle. They really are left the only two out there to do anything constructive.
Gareth Carvel's a big player for him. You've already seen in the 5 or 10 minutes that he's been on big charges, quality offloads, and he'll get them in some good positions as well.
Yes, he's back, Gareth Carvel, for the first time since the defeat at Warrington in round 1. And Gareth Carvel is a man being linked with a move to St Helens in 2009. High kick from this Saints attack.
Allegedly.
Well claimed by Todd Byrne.
What a great take as well, under a lot of pressure. Did the right thing, and they've gone for offside again. It's a lack of discipline. Not so sure that Daniel Anderson, the Saints coach, will be quite happy with that, but I suppose in many ways you say, well, we've got the enthusiasm there. We know we want to be there.
Looks okay. He was having treatment on the run, as Bill said earlier on, John Wilkin, but he's out there, and there he is, number 12, involved in that tackle. Saints 10-0 up, and of course they have only won 2 of their last, rather they've won just 2 and lost 4 of their games on the road this year. They're back at Hull next week. Hull Kingston Rovers in the Cup.
Good job that Liam Price went low there on the full-back Todd Byrne. It was a good pass.
This is Washbrook, fires the pass to Hall. Not the best kick. Easy for Melly, gives it to Wellens. Wellens will begin the counter, saw a little gap ahead of him there.
Good opportunity by Hull on that shot, on that right-hand side, but you could see there that Matt Singh had overrun the man with a football, and now he's got Hull offside. Here comes the grinner.
Well, 10-0 up, and Kieran Cunningham enters the fray and replaces the man of steel.
Come on, Sean.
Good opening 27 minutes from Roby, but what a luxury when you can bring this guy out on the field and play. You know, in all the years, Eddie, every time I've seen him get out on the field, he's always got a huge grin on his face. He just loves it, doesn't he? And once again, he's having a tremendous season.
He is, and Kieran Cunningham here is playing his 450th career appearance. What a servant. And there he is, in the thick of the battle right away.
It's not often in rugby league that they strike a statue, and that's what's going to occur of Kieran Cunningham. They'll need plenty of bronze.
There he is again, dummy half, as Wilkin plays the ball to him. Long then back inside to Wellens.
Just came a little bit too early there, Wellens. He was flat-footed when he received it. Well, it's swirling wind out there. Is it going to be a high kick?
Yes, it is. Over to the far side, looking for Melly. Woody was unopposed as he got to that, but his pass back wasn't so clever, and it's picked up by Danny Houghton of Hull. This is Danny Tickle now for the Black and Whites, looking for their sixth coach since entering Super League in 1998. 6 coaches in 10 years then. And there's the man in charge at the moment, Richard Agar. Bright young thing in terms of coaching in this country.
I just hope they give him a chance.
Me too, Steve. I think the more British coaches we've got in the game, the more British players we've got in the game, I think the stronger we're going to be as a competition, both domestically and internationally.
Thackeray goes without it here, surrendering the possession to St Helens. Couldn't keep control under the pressure from Kieran Cunningham.
I'm not so sure that Cunningham didn't get a hand to that. Either way, it's put them under a lot of pressure.
Get closer, Danny.
Tightened up the defence, Hull, especially out wide. They were being broken time and time again out that way. And
well, they're going to continue to go to Craig Hall, because that's where I think Saints fancy themselves. Wide to St Helens left hand side. We've seen a lot of ball to Tallow and Melly, who've looked particularly strong in the opening half hour.
This is Gilmore. He gets away from the tackler who was just clawing at him. That is a big hit and an illegal one from Gareth Carvell.
Well spotted by Silverwood, and as you can see, finished up in a real bad grapple tackle and right on the jaw as well. He's looking to get away with that. I had a few words said to him by the official. Well, if all the rumours are true, Eddie, he's given his teammates next season a good workout, isn't he?
Well, if it comes to anything, you know what the rumour mill is like in rugby league. Gilmore is leaving the field. He might have got hit round the chops, but he's limping. And there's another penalty here for St Helens, not standing square, the Hull defenders.
Well, the official has got to bring 2 captains together, because it's just beginning to spoil the game.
Here's Long. Back it goes to Price. Price will try and change the direction of the attack, and it's snapped up by Thackeray. And Thackeray gets away from Long. He's got Tallow after him though. And he almost lost that. Quick play of ball is what Hull need.
Great
and they've
turn
got
of
it.
speed. Wonderful speed by Thackeray.
Tommy Lee to the corner for Gareth. Rayner to chase. Tyra does well though. I think Tyra got the hand to that.
Now that was adventurous. They had a full set of 6 to go, and they've wasted it. Thackeray, a wonderful run. Good job that Willie Tallow had the pace. And they went for broke.
I think it was off Tyra, wasn't it?
A great run there by Thackeray. He is eligible for England in the World Cup. Whether then that will just bring to notice of Tony Smith a great speed. I say, eligible for England in the World Cup.
Yes, he is. Hull, though, more concerned at the moment with this attack that's building via Burn to Hull, to Hall. Hall of Hull. This is Matt Singh. He goes down in the challenge from Flannery and Wilkin. Now it's Tickle.
Second phase. Not just barge and bash. Got to come up with something different.
That's Thomas Lee. Short ball, and who was asking a lot of Graham Horn, and it was a forward pass anyway.
Touch judge picked that one up. That's the problem you have when you go for the delayed pass. And you see it. Not much in it, but that's the risk that you take.
Some more injury news, Bill.
Yeah, Lee Gilmore was a doubt going into this game. In fact, there was some surprise when he was named in the Saints lineup. He came off against Catalan with an ankle injury, and it looks as though that might be recurring here, because as we saw, he got an almighty hit a few moments ago, and he came out of that limping, so he must have suffered a recurrence of the problem.
Second, 5, and wait. Go.
Cunningham, the dummy half for St Helens. Here is Wilkin.
The one advantage that Saints do have over a lot of teams in Super League is the fact that when they want to play out wide and not utilise their forwards as much down the middle, they've still got big players. Now this is where the leg goes underneath. The big hit from Carvell right around the chops.
Flannery. They're certainly cutting Hull open down that left channel Long will dink the ball over the top into open space. Ooh, that nasty little bounce in front of Gareth Rayner, but he did well. And he's got the speed to get away from them all, but only crossfield. He can't get away from Francis Melly.
And then again, that's the difference, isn't it? Look at the strength and the physique that you find on the St Helens three-quarter line, and Aoife's just found out how strong it is.
I know Hull are behind on the scoreboard, but I don't think they're behind in anywhere else. Their enthusiasm, their passion, their willingness to work for each other. I've still got hopes for this Hull side today.
Graham Horne plays the ball to Thomas Lee. A little fumble from Gareth Carvell, but he's a man who'll get Hull going forward. Good run from him.
That's what lifts your spirits. That's what they've been missing. Carvell has brought that to the game now.
Thomas Lee with the angled kick again to the corner, but Rayner is way back in his own half of the field. So Wellens
Great
has
kick and
three
chase.
ahead of him.
Hands down, Jamie!
Oh, Gidley.
Thacker is bouncing, isn't he? He's really up for this. Made a wonderful 30-metre break. And he was the first man there for the chase.
Well, as Phil rightly said, he's obviously trying to catch the eye of Tony Smith. He is eligible for the England World Cup squad if Tony Smith takes a gamble, and that's a gift for Danny Washbrook. Thackeray again. Well, Thackeray and Carvell have revitalised this Hull team. Yeaman. Danny Houghton. Short ball to Todd Byrne. Todd Byrne last week at Harlequins. We featured it on Boots and All on Wednesday. The line was gaping for him and he dropped the ball. This is Washbrook. Back it goes to Graham Horne. Goes wide then to Craig Hall.
Last one, 5-1.
Against solid defence. Pretty hard to get through Leon Price. That's one part of his game that he really has lifted.
Thomas Lee.
What about a kick?
Oh, unfortunate that for... Oh, hacked forward by Yeaman. Now then, what's going to happen here? The ref's going to give the try. The referee is going to give the try for Kirk Yeaman. I can't understand why he just didn't hand that on to Ian Smith to check out. I was going to say unfortunate really for Rayner, because it looked as though he'd knocked the ball forward. But of course you can't adjudicate on a forward pass, you can adjudicate on a knock-on. Yeaman didn't hang around for a board meeting, perhaps Long did, and he just hacked the ball out of the hands of Long as he was about to pick it up, and Yeaman gets over for the try.
Well, the black and white perhaps will be thinking, after good, hard, solid works from Gareth Carvell and Jamie Thackeray, that they should have come up with something. It wasn't the best kick. It was a great kick into the corner. It went backwards. No one touched it. Sean Long waited and waited, and that is a good spot by Richard Silverwood. What's this? He knocks it backwards deliberately. Once it goes backwards and then bounces forward, that's okay. Sean Long was thinking, oh, we'll have a scrum here. No, we won't.
It bounced forward, but the initial direction was backwards. The referee and touch judges have got this spot on.
They have. It's no good yelling, we should go to Ian Smith, the video referee, when you've got a man in there. Touch judge helped on away, and that little stroke of luck. But Daniel Anderson will be saying, what on earth was Sean Long doing?
Well, Danny Tickle needs 6 goals for 500 when you include his drop goal tally. Oh, and he still needs 6 goals for 500 because he's missed. 10-4 to Saints. But Sean Long was waiting for the whistle for the knock-on as well, like I was.
You've got to play to the whistle, Eddie. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
When it goes backwards, that's play on. If it goes forward...
He actually catches it, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's little doubt that it goes there. And if it goes forward, that's all right. But what on earth was Sean Long doing? He just sort of half bent down, as though he'd spent 40 years working in the pit.
Great skill from Gareth Rayner, and it gets its reward.
Let's give Richard Silverwood a rap, eh? He saw it, he was in perfect position, he didn't want to go to the screen. Too many times we criticise referees. He's seen it, he's judged it as a fair try and gave it well done.
Second! Move,
Yes, Richard
Jimmy!
Silverwood, he's
Where? Go.
not shy in blowing the whistle for the penalties. 10 today, but he is a man who makes his decisions.
He's confident.
Wasn't tackled.
And Barry's
Go.
absolutely spot on.
Houghton now for Hull, who will be
Chris, hands out.
well, they'll be encouraged by that.
Go.
They're on the scoreboard, only 6 points adrift. Here's Willie Manu, finds Kirk Yeeman. There may be something on here. Great tackle by Gidley.
Want to get on with it. Gidley could have been penalised there. They were very lucky. It's on the last.
Todd Byrne dabs the ball to the corner, picked up again by Wellens. Big hit by Manu.
On the line. Go.
Tyra.
Amazing, isn't he, Paul Wellens?
Second. Get square.
He's all over them. I know there are other candidates for best full-back in the world, but he's certainly one of the best.
He just has a
spot on.
radar for it, doesn't he, Barry?
You're spot on. He makes it look so easy. He supports as good as anybody in the game. Under the high ball, he's superb. So I'm absolutely 100% with you, Eddie. He's the best in the world.
Good on you, Barry.
5
Not
left.
many friends, but there is one near.
Mind you, the fellow at Leeds isn't bad, is he? Mr.
It's
Webb.
okay.
There are a few good
Wellens
ones
is
around
better,
the
though.
world. But he's up there. Now, will Saints be
10 Saints.
sort of poked in the eye with that?
Go.
It may just stun Sean Long for a while.
Second.
You can't cry over spilt milk. They've got to get on with it.
Rayner.
But who
To
would
make
have
progress.
Who would
Good
have thought?
offload.
Who would have thought, when you think about the fact that
Third. Stand there.
St Helens have just blitzed the way through this whole defence time and time again, and yet they're only 6 points adrift. It's an amazing effort for them to get back into it.
4. Leave him.
Last 30 seconds of this first half. Graham Horn can't get away from the challenge.
Yep.
It was of Chris Flannery, the tackle.
It's okay.
Well, that's not the best kick. Straight to Wellens. And here comes the counter with 5 seconds to go. That'll do them, I think.
Move.
Encouraging first 40 for Richard Agar. Next tackle will be all over in the first half, and there we are. Richard Agar makes his way to the dressing room.